And Syria is just one example. American War Crimes has its own Wikipedia page. Torture, extrajudicial killings, illegal detentions, they've done it all. Let me start with Iraq. Who can forget the Abu Ghraib prison? This is where America perfected their war crimes. Prisoners were tortured, raped, sodomized and killed. All of this is documented. In fact, it was authorized by the US government. Their Justice Department released a memo before the Iraq war. It's called the Torture Memos. What did this document say? One, that US officials cannot be charged with war crimes. And two, that enhanced interrogation techniques can be used on prisoners. What are these enhanced techniques? Basically a clever way of saying torture. And two pictures sum up what America did in Abu Ghraib. Here's one of them. The prisoner is made to stand on a box. His head is covered and his fingers are connected to an electric wire. Do you know what his interrogators told him? If you fall off the box, you will be electrocuted. That's what he was told. Here's picture number 2. It's even worse. Naked prisoners have been piled on top of each other. Their heads are covered, and posing behind them are US soldiers, all smiles. This was standard practice, apparently. The CIA regularly clicked naked pictures of their prisoners. The idea was to strip them of all dignity. Many prisoners died during such so-called interrogations. Many are still languishing in so-called US black sites. The people who did this are not soldiers, they're criminals. But the United States continues to protect them. Let me give you an example. In 2005, a US battalion in Iraq was hit by a roadside bomb in a place called Haditha. One soldier was killed, one soldier. The same day, this battalion marched into a neighborhood. They shot and killed 24 women and children. Do you know what the battalion's leader said? Shoot first, ask questions later. And do you know what his punishment was? 90 days in jail plus a pay cut. A pay cut. That's the punishment for taking 24 innocent lives. Here's another example. This is from 2007. A private security company was escorting a US diplomatic convoy in Baghdad. They say they were ambushed. In response, they killed 17 innocent Iraqi citizens. 4 of the employees were tried and convicted. But in December last year, Donald Trump, then president, pardoned them. So they're free men now. The fact is, America will do anything to protect its war criminals. They will find legal loopholes. They will use their diplomatic power. They will even build a military base on an isolated island to hide their crimes. I'm talking about the infamous Guantanamo Bay Detention Camp, or Gitmo for short. Since 2002, 780 people have been detained here. No charges, no trial, no lawyers. 731 prisoners have been transferred out. 39 still remain and 9 died in custody. Gitmo is a monument to America's ruthless crimes. Prisoners say they were tortured with broken glass, strangled with barbed wires, forcefully injected with drugs and repeatedly raped. Remember who's doing this. The supposed human rights champion, the self-proclaimed guardian of freedom. They did the same in Afghanistan. We know the Bagram Air Base is as the crown jewel of the US operation, but that was not always the case. Bagram also houses a detention camp. Prisoners were chained to the ceiling. They were beaten, sexually assaulted and killed. Then you have a list of illegal operations. The Kandahar massacre, 16 civilians dead, including 9 children. The Maiwand district murders, 3 civilians dead. The Kabul airstrike, 9 civilians dead. This last one happened this year. An entire family was wiped out in one strike. What's the punishment for such mistakes? Apparently nothing. The Pentagon says no US soldier will be punished. No jail, no demotion, not even pay cuts. And frankly, we should not be surprised. America's drone strikes are among the biggest war crimes in human history. The president orders, the Pentagon pushes a button, and innocent civilians are massacred halfway around the world. Let me show you the numbers. Since 9/11, the US has conducted 100,000 drone strikes. Do you know how many people have they killed? At least 22,000 civilians. The worst estimate is 48,000. Could any other country get away with these crimes? No, they would be sanctioned, at the very least dragged to court. And that's the other issue. The US is yet to join the International Criminal Court, which means the ICC, International Criminal Court, cannot prosecute US soldiers. Then who can? American courts. And we all know how that ends. Even if US courts convict a soldier, their president ends up pardoning him. He becomes a decorated war hero instead of a war criminal. Hollywood makes movies on them. Late night shows interview them. This is the reality of the United States. The American war machine is actually a war crime machine. It's about time someone called them out. US soldiers arrive in foreign lands as messengers of peace and freedom, but they leave as merchants of death and destruction. So if Joe Biden wants to talk democracy and human rights, maybe start with your own military. Join the International Criminal Court. Subject your soldiers to independent probes. Until then, do not take the moral high ground, because the mass graves in Afghanistan, Syria, Libya and Iraq disagree. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.